And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Level 7 Invasion. This is the third game in the Level 7 line. The first was Level 7 Escape, where you woke up and you were trapped in an alien facility and you had to escape. Sounded really cool, but the game was pretty terrible. Then there was Level 7 Omega Protocol, which was a bunch of Marines who were going into that base to clear it out and find the evil Dr. Kronos. That game was amazing! Super fun, like that one a lot. So, where does that leave us with Level 7 Invasion? In this one, that Dr. Kronos, because of his stupid experiments on other aliens, or his race's experiments on other aliens, these aliens are now attacking Earth. And you're like, oh, Dr. Kronos, what in the world? And he says, I will help you fight these aliens, because if I don't, you guys will all die. Well, thanks a lot, buddy, but that's what this is. This is a semi-cooperative game in which players are going to control different regions of Earth to fight off aliens. Let me show you. Here's the board for the game, and really this game takes up a lot of room. I'm not showing the complete setup because each player setup is quite a bit. But let's take a look at the board first. The board here is split into different zones, and each zone, basically, they're major continents. You have Europe and North America, South America, Asia, and Africa. Australia has been completely overwhelmed by the aliens. And in fact, I'm supposed to have some aliens in these spots because aliens are starting in these areas. Sorry, Australia. But don't worry, we will attempt to free you over the course of this game. Oh yeah, and some aliens start here in Arabia too. Now, what players are trying to do in this game? This scientist here, Dr. Kronos, this guy here is trying to make some sort of plan to stop the aliens. This plan has several different parts. Each part is done by one of the countries. So for example, part 1 is done by Argentina. To get this part done, Argentina needs to have Dr. Kronos in them, and then they need to pay some resources here. $6 million, 2 fuel, and 1 minerals. Okay? Then the part 2 can be 2 different things. It could either be over in North America or Africa. You can do these in either order. You have to do both of them. Then part 4 has 2 parts, and part 5, each one, and you can keep track of that down here to see which ones have been completed. So, okay, we completed part 1, now we completed part 2B, then we complete part 2A, and when we finally get to part 5, it doesn't matter who has that one, anybody can complete that one, and it shows it right here on the board. But if, for example, you need to complete part 4, and part 4A is in Asia, and Asia has been defeated and out of the game, then everybody loses. So you have to keep people in the game at least until they've completed their part, and Dr. Kronos goes over and visits them. You notice there's some drop ships on the board. This is where they always start. The Uzbekistan Alliance, Argentina, and Canada. And then some random guys are placed on the board due to some cards. These drop ships will move. There's 3 different drop ships, although a 4th one will join the game about halfway through. Each player has their own board. So here's Asia, here's Europe, here's North America, here's South America, here's Africa. Each of them has an income that they're going to get each turn. So Africa is going to get 9 million, 5 food, 3 oil, and 4 minerals. They have these dials here to keep track of how much you have, and there are numbers to show you where you start in them. So Africa starts with little food, some fuel, and minerals, but they will get more as time goes by. This here, military-industrial complex, it's a lot easier to think of this as your population, and on the outside is how much food you're going to have to pay each round of the game, and if this ever gets down to 0, you're in trouble. You also have on the side here, you have a terror track, and the farther this terror track goes up, that's going to affect your income each round. And over here it shows the different parts that you have. So if we're looking at Asia, there's a couple things here. China and India allow research. If they get taken over, you won't have one of those research tokens. But anytime any of them gets taken over, let's say Siberia gets taken over and is overrun, so we have to put that card on it, because that card is going to affect basically the income when Siberia is overrun. And even if we take Siberia back and we liberate Siberia, you're still going to lose one oil or one mineral. So it's best not to let the aliens take over these spots at all, especially the one that's your capital, which for Asia is China. Now, you also have 4 different technologies that you're trying to increase over the course of the game. We have military equipment, communications, biological sciences, and social programs. Each one of these requires you to use one of your technology tokens, so the more you have, the more of these you can upgrade, but you also need resources. So communications cost $1 million, and it also costs you one of your research tokens. When you do that, you flip it over here to tier 1, and it gives you some special abilities. For example, this one here, when a viral video event, there's a negative event, requires you to make a roll, you can avoid rolling by spending $1 million, and during each maintenance phase you can lower your terror any number of levels by spending $2 million for each level. That's tier 1. And then you can upgrade it again to tier 2, to tier 3, to tier 4, and to tier 5. Many of these do different things. For example, this one here, at tier 5 of communications, the best part of it here is you gain +6 to your command and control. See, on each country's board, there's a command and control number at the top. That's how many units you can have on a board. So Asia starts with 5, but if they get their communication all the way up, they'll be able to have 11 units on the board. And over here, we keep track of your country's power. Your power starts at 1, but as the game progresses, hopefully you will move that power up and get it to be all the way up to level 3 power, because you're going to use that to fight the aliens. Each round of the game has 16 different phases, which really is a lot, but many of them can be done simultaneously or very close to each other. First, players have the opportunity to hire these Jin races, mercenaries over here. They're in the black market, so you can pay money for these one-time use cards, sometimes multiple use cards. This is done in turn order. These guys are basically the guys who are working with Dr. Kronos. Okay, so they're the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We don't really want to use these guys, but what other option do we have? Then after that, players are going to deploy units on the board that they have. If they can buy more units if they've lost units at the beginning of the game. They can do research. They can research different technologies that they have. If they have the Kronos, Dr. Kronos in their region, they can pay to do his project. And then they're also going to get their income. Now, these things are done in a specific order, so you can't get your income and then buy stuff. But you're going to need to use these. Also, players can trade with one another. They can make one trade with another player. So I might, if I have a lot of money, maybe the U.S. has more money and Africa has more food. U.S. can give Africa some money in exchange for some food. Or maybe they'll even give one of their research tokens to Africa. After that, then comes the warfare phase. Players are going to move their guys around the board, usually to counter the different threats that happen. And then events. Now, the game has 2 phases, the assault and devastation. Assault is the aliens are attacking Earth. Devastation is the aliens realize that they might lose, so they decide to absolutely destroy Earth. Devastation can be basically happen through different means. If you get done with a certain level of the Kronos project, if certain cards are drawn, and so on. What happens is each player is given one of these event cards, and there's an alpha event and a bravo event. So let's take a look here. The alpha event is draw a dropship card and place 1 invader unit in each of the first 3 territories that's listed. Okay, while the bravo event is place 1 invader unit in each territory of the coalition that has Kronos standee. So my option is to draw a card and place 3 guys. These cards are used, these dropship cards are often used over the course of the game to figure out where to put stuff randomly. You can see Siberia, Western United States, Nigerian League. Or I can put 1 in 3 different random areas, or I could put 1 in every spot here in South America. So when I decide which event, when I look at that event to see which one I'm going to do, I'm going to place it face down in the alpha area or the bravo area. Everybody's going to do that. Then you're going to shuffle them up so you don't know who put which one where. Do the alpha events and do the bravo events. Also, there's a ground war in each one, and it shows you which dropship or dropships will have more troops come out of them. So there's going to be more troops in the areas. So that this event phase is a very negative, unfun time, but if you get your technologies up, you can avoid some of the worst events. After this, there's battle. Now, battle's pretty simple in this game. if, let's say the guys here in the Central African Command are fighting against this alien. It's 2-on-1. However, we compare powers first. If the African power is 0, and the aliens start with 1 power, that is marked over here on the side of the board, and certain cards can be drawn to make that power go up. But let's say the aliens are winning, so we're going to roll dice, and if you roll a plus, the side that's winning will take out one of the opponents. They're considered the attacker. Whoever's more power is the attacker. This means the attacker removes 1 defender unit. If you roll minus side, which is only on 1 of the 6 sides, then 1 of the attacker units is gone. If you roll an equal sign, then 1 of both is gone. So you want to get your power up. If power is the same, then whoever has more units in an area is considered to be the attacker. Now, so players are going to have battles all across the globe and fight different things, and then we'll check the territories. There's a number in each territory that if the aliens reach that number, then that area is overrun. Players can also try to go and free some of these neutral countries, and like free Arabia, then you'll get some more oil each turn. Or down in Australia, you'll get some more people to join you, and you'll even get another research token if you free them. After that happens, then the invaders will move around. The drop ships will disappear. They'll be replaced if you haven't destroyed them. They'll be replaced by soldiers. You'll draw a new card, and more drop ships will show up in 3 different spots on the board. Then, if someone else controls Kronos, you can move him as long as he can move safely. Then you'll give that person the Kronos control token. And the reason we have a Kronos control token is because that matters for who can complete different projects and sometimes for who the aliens are attacking. After that, everyone will check their terror levels. The more aliens in your area, the more your terror goes up. You'll take damage due to aliens being in your territory. Many of your people will die. You will check research and the drop ships and such. And so, also I should mention that the aliens will adapt. You'll be drawing these cards over here, these adaptation cards, which again are split into 2 decks where the red ones get worse. And sometimes, like this one here, is terrible when you draw this one because it gives all the aliens an extra power. You'd put it over here, now the alien power is 2. And here, skip on 1 invader unit at the lowest number dropship. If there's no dropship in play, move 2 invader units 1 territory closer to Dr. Kronos. That's not as bad as the 1 power, but as time goes by, the aliens can get many more powers, even if they're just temporary for 1 turn. So that's essentially the game. If the players manage to complete the Kronos project, they win. If somebody's capital is gone and you cannot complete the Kronos project because that person's capital is gone, then you lose. Also, if Kronos, the spot where he is overrun, then players lose. If everybody dies, you lose. If all the devastation cards have been drawn, then all the devastation event cards here have been drawn, you lose. Basically, that's it. When you players win, you have to control your own capital territory. If you do, you join in victory. Otherwise, everybody but you wins. Production values for this game were amazing. I got a lot of extra drop ships, I don't know why, but I mean, it's really cool. I mean, everything looks complicated when you get this board. You're like, oh, look at all those spinning dials and such. But it's not so hard. You basically just look at it and figure out what your income is, what you're going to get, and you got to be careful. It keeps track of your resources. It's a lot easier than having maybe piles of resources. You do have piles of money, but that's basically all you need to keep track of token-wise. You have fewer forces than you think on the board. You know, the most is the North America. They start with 6 troops on the board at the beginning, but even those get killed pretty quickly. Combat's very simple. I'm not sure how I feel about combat. It's tough. In fact, the whole game is tough. But I think I should take this one thing and put it out of the way, is that I don't think this game should be played semi-cooperatively at all. First of all, semi-cooperative is very difficult to do. Only a few people have ever pulled it off with any success. I'd say Dead of Winter has done it completely well. In this one, it just doesn't work. One of the big reasons is there are 5 different countries here, or 5 different regions. All 5 regions must be in play. So if you play with less than 5 players, one person has 2 regions. Well, that person can make those regions work together, which if in a cooperative game, no big deal. You control 2 regions. But in a semi-cooperative game, you've just given that person a big advantage. So I don't see that there's any benefit. Just play straight co-op. Just play it and say, hey, we're trying to win the game. because it's hard enough as it is anyway, and you can make it harder. You can make it easier by giving yourself one technology for free at level 1. I highly recommend that for your first game. But man, the event part is pretty cool, and I like the events because you get the event card and you have to decide what's the best thing to do without everyone else's input. You put the card there and pick the Alpha or Bravo event, and that's important because it keeps one person from being the alpha gamer and telling everyone what to do. This game is long, and that's probably its biggest negative. We're talking 2 to 3 hours, closer to 3 hours end of the spectrum, and it takes up a big amount of space on the table. There's a lot going on here, but I was entertained. I did have this feeling of like, oh, we're fighting aliens and aliens landed. Okay, blow them up over here. They're coming down over in this area, and I'll get Dr. Kronos rush him to safety over here. Boy, I hate him. And just working together, the countries did feel very different. The U.S. technology, lots of good troops to go around. Africa's doesn't have quite that, but they have a lot of food and mineral resources that they'll share with other people if you help us out. And also, they have a good central position. The different lines all over the board allowed you to move around quickly. So it's not like Risk, where Australia is just kind of sitting there in the corner. Australia is connected to 1, 2, 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different lines coming out of Australia. So it's a great point, and it's also a pretty critical thing in the game. If you can get Australia, that gives you more ways to move your troops around the board. So I like it. I don't think it's the best game ever. It's probably too long for what it is, and combat's a little simplistic for my tastes, but still there's so much going on. Maybe it's best that way. And there's certainly a lot of talking. It's a cool alien invasion. I know I'm going to be asked, can I compare this to XCOM? Well, first of all, the XCOM, the board game, is not yet released from Fantasy Flight. I played a pretty almost done final production copy of it, and I liked it, but they feel like different games in a sense. They certainly have the same theme. But the Fantasy Flight one's like a scramble. I gotta get this done quickly, get all this done. Did we do everything right? While this one here is more of a slow slog. It's a fight against the aliens as they've landed, and we gotta blow them up. You probably won't want to get both. They certainly fit in the same wheelhouse. Right now, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one to recommend. I'm probably going to lean towards the Fantasy Flight XCOM one, especially since I like that theme. But this one has a very similar thought process, but also has really beautiful things all over the board. So you got to try this one out before you play it. This is not going to be for everyone. It's going to be too long for some. It's going to be too complex for others. But others are going to really enjoy the theme and get into defending the Earth from alien invasions, as long as you play a straight co-op version of it.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!